Let's talk about the 7 ways to build a positive dental practice culture that attracts top talent. This isn't just applied to dental practices, but because we work with dental practices every day, that's going to be my main focus for this video, okay? So I'm going to map out all 7 of them real quick, and then we're going to dive into each of them individually, okay? Before I do that, just a quick intro. My name is Bryton. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Dentist Partner Pros, where we help private practice owners build practices they love to own. We do that through a bunch of different hiring and stuff like that. So we work with practices that have different cultures all over the country. And these are the 7 key things that we found that really set practices apart. Okay, let's jump in. So here are the 7 things. You need to define your values. You need to hire for culture fit, not just skills. Recognize and appreciate your team. Foster open communication and trust. Provide growth opportunities and invest in your team. Balance workload and promote well-being, while also by leading by example. So be the culture you want to see. Let's jump into each of these. All right. So first one, define your practice values. The foundation of any business culture is, what do you believe and why? What do you believe and why? What is most important to you? How do you operate? And there's a multitude of different resources and tools out there to help you define what your unique culture is going to be, what your unique values will be. My favorite is through The Advantage, through Patrick Lencioni. He talks about having really key, like 3 to 5 at most values. Story Brand from Donald Miller. He also talks about how these should not just be, nouns or like advantageous things that we want to have happen. They should be verbs. They should be things that require action and define how we act, as well as what we believe. Okay, so here at Dentist Partner Pros, we have a number of different values. Let me just share a few of those with you, okay? So number 1 is we put others first. And we have defined what that means to us. How do we put others first? We strive for win-win. We're trustworthy. We have character and competence. We're vulnerable, things like that. We are process-driven. We work hard and play hard. We are a team. We are growth-minded, and we give back. Now, these are not set in stone. In fact, we review these annually, and we grade ourselves against them quarterly to ensure that as a company, we're continuing to go back to our roots and staying true to what we truly believe and what we want to have happen, okay? So core values really are so important in beginning to establish what is the culture we want. It really begs the question. We begin with the end in mind, like Covey says, and we imagine what would be our really great ideal culture, and how would we define that? Of the best of our current team, how do they act? How do they show up? Okay, these are all different things that you can consider when you're starting to map out your practice values and your business values, but I can't recommend it enough, because if done well and done right, it can be used as a measuring stick for how we act and how we hire and things like that. So speaking of hiring, that's our number 2 to ensure you've got a great culture in your business, is hire for culture fit, not just skills. Most skills can be developed. Culture is much harder to fit. It's like taking a square peg and shoving it into a round hole. It just doesn't work. And so when you're starting to consider who's going to be right for our team and not, oftentimes we're just looking for who has the highest qualifications and who we perceive to be like the best person for the job. And we completely neglect how culture impacts that. Well, I've seen how bringing on a right culture fit dramatically outperforms those that might have higher skills. Because what happens is when you bring in a good culture fit, the whole team rises. Everyone in the team gets better. But when you bring in someone that maybe isn't as good of a culture fit, but still has the same or if not better skills, what happens is maybe short term, you see some great wins, but long term, you end up having to solve those problems and the trauma that's being created from not having a good culture fit. And it ends up actually leading down the route that you don't want. It makes less money, even though you may perceively think like, oh yeah, this is going to help me make more money because I'm hiring a higher skilled person, even though they may not match your culture. Okay, so hiring for culture fit, not just skills. I love what the Hormozis have done with this. They actually have a specific interview with, when it comes to hiring, with a member of their kind of leadership team that interviews them against their core values. They're so important to them that they're measuring them against their core values. And if done well, that's what you can do here. Okay, so hire for culture fit, not just skills. Number 3 is to recognize and appreciate your team. This may sound cheesy and it may sound dumb, but you need to recognize and thank your team way more often than you already do. Having an occasional bring in lunch is not sufficient, okay? Having an occasional thank you or like a birthday gift card, it's not enough. What they want is they need to be thanked and recognized for the effort they're making in and day out. I can promise you, you can't say thank you enough. It goes a long ways for helping your individuals, team members, feel seen and feel recognized and feel appreciated. Now, people receive that differently. Some like public attention, some like private one-on-one, someone prefer a text or an email, or someone prefer, publicly in a meeting. That depends on the team members. There's tools you can use like DISC. We can dive into that in another video. But there's different ways that people want to be recognized, and your goal as a leader is to learn how to best help them to feel appreciated and seen. Because when you do, what happens is they reward you with loyalty. Okay, they reward you with loyalty. They'll show up on time. They'll do the things they say they're going to do, and they'll go that little extra effort because they know it's being recognized and seen. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, foster open communication and trust. The foundation of all relationships is trust. And the 5 dysfunctions of a team, the very first dysfunction you have to overcome is building and establishing a culture of trust. That starts with you as a primary leader. If you are not willing to be vulnerable and open and honest, receive feedback, what do you think your team's going to do? Because they are a direct reflection of you as the primary leader. Okay, so you have to be willing to be vulnerable and establish a foundation of trust. It makes such a huge difference. The way you do that is by sharing your own personal struggles, weaknesses, but also owning up when you mess up. You have to own up when you mess up, because you're going to mess up. And the way that you react to that will make a huge difference on how your team will then show up. Okay, so fostering an open communication and trust goes a long ways to establishing a very healthy culture. Because if we have trust, we can have conflict. If we can have conflict, we can have accountability. And if we can have commitment, then we can have accountability. And then that leads to the results that you truly want. Okay, next. Number 5, provide growth opportunities. Invest in your team. When you are starting to build this culture, that means a lot to you. So for us, it's one of our core values is being growth-minded. What does that mean to us? Well, it means so much to us that every single Monday, we spend 30 minutes to 60 minutes as a team going through training together. This doesn't have to be fancy. This doesn't have to be outsourced CE. It doesn't have to be bringing in a consultant or a coach. It can just be you sharing what's important and valuable to you. We have themes to ours. Some of it's about personal growth and mindset. It can be about a specific skill we're developing. We do a book club every month, things like that. But that goes a long ways in showing how much you want to help your team to grow. It goes a long ways in saying, hey, I believe in you. I believe you can be more than you are now. And when you have the right people on the bus in the right seats, they will eat it up. Okay, they will love it. Our team constantly tells me that their favorite thing about working here is those trainings, because they're not just making money and showing up, but they're also getting value out of developing as humans. And that goes such a long ways when building a very healthy culture. Next is balance workload and promote well-being. Now, this is tricky. Depends on what stage of business you're in. Sometimes you got to just put your head down and go to work, but it's also supporting them when they need to be supported, okay? Sometimes that means they need to be out a little bit early to go see their kid's soccer game. That's great. You should want to support them. But also you should expect them to show up work and do great work the next day, right? So it's balancing both the workload and making sure that we're promoting that they have time to be with their family. And so one of our values is we work hard and play hard. And part of that means that we support each other in and out of the business. We want to hear what's happening in their lives personally, and we want to hear all the wins they're seeing in the business, okay? Both go a long ways. All this does is continue to reinforce healthy culture, open communication, trust, vulnerability. And when we're supporting each other out of the business and we're cheering them on, or we're there to console them when something rough and tough is happening, it goes a long ways in building loyalty and trust. And instead of then jumping ship when maybe they can make $2 more an hour somewhere else, they're going to want to stay with you because that relationship exists. Okay. Lastly, number 7 is lead by example. If you want a specific culture in place, if you want to be growth minded, if you want to be team oriented, if you want to be process driven, whatever, you have to be the example. That doesn't mean you're perfect. Not at all. What it means is you're constantly striving and you're being held to the same standards, if not higher, than the rest of what you expect for the rest of the team. Okay, you have to lead by example because your team is a direct reflection of you as a primary leader. Okay, so lead by example. Be the culture you want to see in the practice or in the business. Those are the 7 tips to building a very healthy culture. I can promise you, if you start to implement some of these, you define your culture values, you hire for culture fit, you recognize and appreciate your team, you foster open communication and trust, you provide growth opportunities, and you balance your workload and promote well-being. Lastly, by leading by example, you are going to be far and above most other businesses out there, and you will naturally start to attract A players. Okay, you will naturally start to attract the people that you want to work with because they're going to find you. They're going to find the culture that matches with them. So let us know what you think. Leave a comment down below. What's your favorite one? What are you going to go implement? And keep us posted on the results you see.